Welcome back to the channel, where tales resonate profoundly, where reality ignites with a fierceness that outshines imagination. Imagine the moment when betrayal strikes, leaving you reeling as your world collapses around you, the ground beneath your feet giving way to an abyss of uncertainty. Then lean in, because this tale pierces deep into the marrow. The memory is etched in my mind, the precise instant I discovered that my wife, Elena, was betraying me. No trace of lipstick on the collar. There was no trace of an unfamiliar perfume, a mere tremor in the silence. At 5:43 a.m., her phone erupted into a frenzy of buzzing, shattering the stillness of the early morning. And the intensity in her gaze. Fear gripped the air. No surprise at all, not annoyance. Yet it was a surge of raw, unfiltered panic. That morning, after 12 years of marriage, a subtle shift occurred within me. Not with a thunderous crash or a fiery outburst, but like a delicate thread unraveling, burdened by the weight of unspoken truths. We shared a life intertwined, filled with moments that echoed through time. A life we forged, each brick laid with purpose, every paycheck a step closer to our dreams. Two enchanting children, Ava, age 10, and Miles, age 8. Unforgettable vacations that stretched our budgets to the limit, and inside jokes that blossomed over the years, weaving a tapestry of shared memories. Even that weathered old oak dining table from our first apartment, the very one we vowed would remain with us forever. But that morning, Elena wore an expression that hinted at secrets, like a gambler caught with cards tucked away in her sleeve. Electric, veiled in mystery. She gripped her phone tightly as if it contained the final remnants of her lost innocence. In that moment, I had the chance to confront her, insisted on the truth. But I had just returned from a grueling night shift. Dust clung to my lungs and weariness seeped deep into my bones. In that moment, I whispered to myself, "Hold on, observe closely, demonstrate." A hidden, fractured piece of my soul, one I had never acknowledged, murmured in response. Alternatively, seek vengeance. As the weeks slipped by, I felt her presence fade like a distant echo, drifting further into the shadows. In the shadows of the closet, her whispers danced like secrets waiting to be uncovered. She smiled at the texts that remained unshared, secrets lingering in the silence. She insisted she was working late, catching up on emails with Marco, a colleague I'd never encountered. But I had seen his name flash across her phone, and the smile that danced on her lips when it buzzed was not the kind reserved for a mere coworker. Under the cloak of darkness, I found myself drawn to the flickering screen, compelled to check our bank account. Explore. Clothing stores. Each visit felt like a futile quest, with nothing ever finding its way into my closet. Lies were meticulously crafted, yet the truth bore the unmistakable marks of its origin. Shadows of my own abode, I became a sleuth, piecing together the mysteries that lingered in the air. Night I would lie beside her, feigning slumber, my heart ablaze with unspoken questions, and a tightening knot of dread coiling within me. Slipping through my fingers, and there was nothing I could do to halt her descent into the abyss. Was a part that resisted the urge to do so. A dormant part of me, untamed and hidden, was stirring to life, a fragment yearning for retribution, not within the confines of a courtroom, yet deep within her heart. I understood that maintaining my composure was essential, but God, each breath felt like a struggle as the flames consumed everything around me. And yet no one else seemed to sense the rising smoke. A smile crept across my face. I feigned ignorance. After collecting the kids from school, I tackled the persistent drip of the leaky faucet, then meticulously folded her laundry, each piece a testament to the day's quiet victories. As she wove her treachery beneath a veil of gentle smiles and measured distance, I was forging something altogether different. A scheme unfolds. A moment of truth awaits. The moment I gathered enough evidence, the charade would come crashing down, and I would finally bring this deception to an end. The most challenging aspect wasn't the deception, it was the way Elena rendered me invisible. We once shared everything, those late-night dialogues where the universe faded away, leaving just two souls entwined in the quest to unravel the mysteries of life together. Yet now, Her gaze barely met mine. She glided by me in the hallway, her presence as cold and distant as that of a complete stranger. She no longer called me her husband. I existed as mere background noise, a fleeting whisper of a thought, lingering in the shadows of the mind, a specter lingering in the shadows of a house he still owned, bound by the ties of a past life. And I found myself haunted by the same question. When did she slip away from me? Was it the moment I began to toil through double shifts, all to afford that new house nestled in the heart of a better school district? Was it the moment I failed to attend Miles's school play? Or perhaps it was the moment I ceased to recognize her new perfume, the scent that, in hindsight, I realized she never wore for my sake. In the stillness of the night, she would nestle into her bed, her fingers dancing over the screen of her phone, laughter bubbling up at secrets whispered in messages she dared not reveal. I would lie beside her, frozen in place, my gaze fixed on the ceiling as if it concealed the truths I dared not voice. Could it be him? Is he truly better? Could he be the embodiment of everything I lack? As the sun dipped below the horizon, her laughter broke the silence, a genuine, hearty sound that echoed in the stillness, a melody I hadn't experienced in what felt like an eternity. My gaze fell upon her, and she turned away, as if my very gaze weighed heavily upon her. It was a night shrouded in uncertainty when I found myself drawn back to the bank once more. Another dinner awaits. 2 sizzling steaks, a wine that danced on my tongue, its name a tantalizing mystery I couldn't quite unravel, and then a sudden silence enveloped the room, thick with anticipation, as the air crackled with unspoken tension. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum, urging the moment forward, as if the universe itself held its breath, waiting for what would come next. A charge from the hotel, that was the moment. In that instant, love transformed into a chilling blaze, igniting a fierce and unyielding intensity. As dawn broke, I navigated the winding roads, the anticipation of a new day hanging in the air, as I drove the kids to school. Ava unveiled her science project in the back seat, a dazzling papier-mâché volcano that erupted with a cascade of shimmering glitter. Miles leaned in, his eyes sparkling with excitement, and asked if I could join him in constructing a Lego spaceship after dinner. A smile crept across my face. I uttered a fervent yes. Yet within, a fracture formed. In that moment it struck me. They still held on to their faith in us. Within these walls a story unfolds. Within the embrace of their parents. Yet among us, one wore a mask of deception. In an instant, the weight of my fatigue lifted, replaced by a piercing clarity that cut through the haze. No longer was I the naive one. I was the spark that ignited the chaos. It began with a simple decision: to capture every moment, screenshots, transactions, whispers, each fragment of reality woven into a tapestry of intrigue. Revenge was not my aim. I sought something deeper than mere suffering. I yearned to seize my narrative once more. To Avenue. For Miles, the journey began at dawn, the horizon painted with hues of orange and gold, beckoning him into the unknown. And for the man I once was, before love transformed me into someone easily overlooked. The focus had shifted away from Elena, leaving a void that pulsed with unspoken tension. It was a journey of rebirth from the smoldering remnants she had left behind. As she passed me the papers, her hands remained steady, betraying no hint of uncertainty. She lingered in the doorway, her presence sharp and calculated, as if she were presenting a carefully wrapped package, something icy and devoid of warmth. There was an unsettling void, a stark absence of feeling that hung in the air like a heavy fog, suffocating and relentless. Without a moment's pause, it was nothing more than a manila envelope, yet it bore my name, a silent promise of secrets waiting to be unveiled. "It's better this way," Elena murmured, her voice gliding through the air like silk, reminiscent of the lawyer who meticulously crafted her fate. I hesitated, the envelope resting in my hands, its secrets waiting to be unveiled. Not out of fear, yet beneath the surface a haunting certainty gripped me. I was all too aware of what lay within. A meticulously folded checklist of all the things she believed were rightfully hers. The children were to be placed in the primary care of one parent, The ominous house loomed in the distance, its shadow stretching across the ground like a dark omen, beckoning the curious and the brave to uncover its secrets. Half of my empire, compensation for dreams unfulfilled, and a clause so piercing it felt like a wound as I read it that demanded I vacate the premises within 30 days. Not a single mention of Ava's enchanting bedtime tales. Not a single whisper of Miles' Lego obsession or the clandestine handshakes we crafted in the shadows of the carpool lane. Only figures, devoid of meaning, timelines, chilling equations masquerading as righteousness. She craved the chaos of lingering ties. She craved power. My gaze locked onto hers from across the kitchen table. The very table we had chosen in our days of scarcity. The very table where laughter once danced over burnt pancakes now echoes with the silent weight of tears shed after the loss of our first pregnancy. Now it lay before them, a desolate battlefield, echoing with the remnants of chaos and despair. And she was already savoring the taste of triumph. I leaned in closer, my voice barely above a whisper. "Did he help you write this?" Her lips quivered with unspoken secrets. "Don't complicate this any further." There was no room for denial. Silence hung heavy in the air, an unyielding barrier between them. No words of remorse would escape those lips. Only the weight of unspoken truths lingered, thick and suffocating, a chilling void of indifference, as if betrayal were merely another task on a list to be completed. I felt the urge to scream. I stood on the precipice of desperation, the urge to plead clawing at my throat. Yet I found myself nodding in response, because a part of me had finally pierced the shroud of confusion. This was a battle where fairness held no ground. This had transcended the realm of love entirely. This was war, a relentless clash of wills, a storm of chaos and fury that consumed everything in its path. And I had just uncovered the enemy's battle plan. Gathering the fragments of a life can stretch into an endless endeavor. It wasn't the tangible elements, the boxes, the tape, the rough texture of cardboard against flesh. That mattered. It's the quiet stock that takes your breath away. Each drawer whispers secrets of the past. Each shelf holds a memory, a whisper from the past that stirs emotions you thought were long forgotten. The photograph resting on the nightstand, our honeymoon in the enchanting paradise of Santorini. Her smile was a beacon, illuminating the shadows that surrounded them. With my arm wrapped around her waist, I pulled her closer, feeling the warmth radiate between us. Once we knew happiness. Indeed, I am aware of that. I abandoned that photo, letting it slip through my fingers like sand, a haunting reminder of what once was. It was the day I moved out, and the kids were at school. Elena orchestrated the moment with precision, claiming it would be less confusing for them. She was lost in a fog of confusion. Or perhaps indifference was her true companion. As I closed that front door behind me, it didn't merely click shut. It sealed away a world of possibilities. It hurled an entire chapter of my life into the shadows of the past. Desperation clawed at my insides. I was adrift, with no refuge in sight. Staying with my brother was an option, no doubt about it. Yet there was an unsettling sensation in resting on a couch, enveloped by another's tranquility. It felt like a betrayal to the sorrow that lingered within. I stumbled upon a rundown motel nestled just off the highway, its flickering neon sign casting an eerie glow in the twilight. Curtains, heavy with the scent of cigarettes, hung like ghosts in the dim light. A flickering neon sign cast an eerie glow in the darkness outside. The air was thick with the scent of shattered aspirations and unfulfilled vows. It felt like the perfect choice. On that haunting first night, sleep eluded me. The bed groaned under the weight of each breath, a haunting echo in the stillness of the night. As I perched by the window, the rain danced down the glass in a mesmerizing pattern, each droplet a reminder of the moments that spiraled us to this very point. Could it have been the endless hours spent toiling away in the dim glow of the office lights? The moments when I failed to see that her laughter had faded away from my jokes? Or could it be him, Derek, the man she had insisted was just a colleague? I held back the tears, not because I wasn't hurting, God, I was, but because a deeper sensation stirred within me. Void. as if a part of me had been stealthily extracted, leaving an emptiness I hadn't even noticed until now. And in its place lay an oppressive silence. A thick, unsettling silence enveloped the space. I summoned the children as night began to fall. Ava's voice trembled with anticipation as she turned to me, her eyes sparkling with hope. "Will you be there for my school recital?" she asked, the weight of her question hanging in the air like a promise waiting to be fulfilled. Miles's eyes sparkled with anticipation as he asked if I would still construct his dream treehouse come summer. I accepted both offers without hesitation. Though uncertainty loomed, I pressed on, unaware of the path ahead. Though the world I once knew lay in ruins, dismantled and packed away, a haunting silence enveloped me. But I truly meant it, for in the moments when all else had been torn away, they remained my sole anchor, my last refuge, and I would be damned if I allowed her to take them from me as well. A week after my departure, the air crackled with an unspoken change. It unfolded quietly, no thunderclap, no grand revelation. Hold on for just a moment. A hushed, suspended instant. As I stood at the motel sink, toothbrush in hand, the reflection in the mirror shifted, revealing him, the man who was watching me intently, ghostly, rugged and unkempt, eyes heavy with exhaustion, lacking their usual spark. And in that moment, for the very first time, he was a stranger to me. Yet a part of me yearned to break free from his shadow. As dawn broke, I gathered the scant belongings I possessed and set off on the road. Endless movement with no end in sight. The road stretched out before her, a winding path that seemed to invite her in, filling her lungs with a sense of freedom and possibility. I stood there, eyes fixed on the sun as it ascended, its fiery rays piercing through the lingering haze. A thought flickered in my mind. Perhaps it could ignite a cleansing fire within me as well. I pulled into a secluded diner nestled along the winding stretch of Route 8. I found myself staring at the cup of coffee I never asked for. I cracked open a notebook, its pages untouched since I'd purchased it months earlier, a blank canvas waiting to be filled. In the opening lines I penned, "What remains for me?" I began to recount the names of the children. My hands trembled with anticipation, the instruments of my craft, the essence of my creation. And then, lurking in the shadows, what is it that I yearned to reconstruct? It had transcended the mere presence of furniture and walls. The essence of identity loomed large, about reconstructing a fragment of myself that had slipped into the shadows of memory. In the days that followed, I plunged into a whirlwind of phone calls, long-standing clients, fresh trails to follow. I wasn't pleading, I was reconstructing once more. In the heart of the city, I stumbled upon a quaint little apartment nestled above the shop of a retired seamstress, its charm whispering secrets of the past. The windows whispered secrets as the rain drummed against them, and the floor groaned underfoot. But it was undeniably mine. With each stroke of the brush, I transformed the walls, pouring my heart and soul into the vibrant colors that danced across the surface. Crafted a beautiful shelf to cradle Ava's cherished storybooks. Above the couch hung Miles's superhero drawings, each one a vibrant testament to his imagination and creativity. With every nail I hammered into those walls, it was as if I was seizing back a piece of my soul, beyond mere space. Honor. Elena's voice pierced through the silence, a single call that echoed with unspoken urgency. I mentioned that I had forgotten some clothes. I urged her to give them away. She paused, uncertainty flickering in her eyes. Then they spoke. "You have a different tone." I remained silent, because I simply was. I remained unhealed. I felt fragmented, as if pieces of me were scattered, lost in the shadows of my own existence. But I had changed. The fractures within me no longer defined my existence. In that hushed moment, suspended between the shadows of my past and the dawning light of my transformation, in that moment, a wave of tranquility washed over me, enveloping my senses like a warm embrace. The tranquility shattered like glass. The tale began with a single phone call, shattering the stillness of an ordinary day. A call from an unknown number. I hesitated, the phone ringing insistently, a sense of foreboding creeping in. Almost didn't pick up. Yet I did. and the voice on the other end echoed through the silence, sending a shiver down her spine. It was my daughter Ava, unsteady. Silence enveloped the surroundings. It lingered in the air, barely audible, like a secret waiting to be uncovered. "Dad, Mom says our visits are over." My heart remained steady. It crumbled into dust, like a structure left to the ravages of time, forgotten and crumbling in the shadows. "What?" I said. Her voice trembled as she spoke. "You exude a thrilling danger. That you scream." That moment hung in the air, thick with anticipation, as if the world itself held its breath. Every heartbeat echoed like a drum, reverberating through the silence that enveloped them. Shadows danced in the corners, whispering secrets of what was to come, while the tension crackled like electricity, promising a revelation that would change everything. In that fleeting instant, time seemed to stretch, and the weight of possibility pressed down, urging them forward into the unknown. "You shattered everything." I stood motionless. My lungs betrayed me, refusing to draw in the air I so desperately needed, for the stark reality was that none of it held any truth. And yet in her soft voice, I could already sense the swirling confusion beneath the surface. A whisper of uncertainty emerges. The fallout had transcended material possessions. It revolved around the lives of individuals. The ones I cherished most, now twisted into adversaries, moving against me like pawns in a game I never wished to join. Elena had crossed a line, and the weight of her choice hung heavy in the air, a palpable tension that crackled like electricity. The consequences loomed ahead, dark and foreboding, as she stood at the precipice of her own making, heart racing with the thrill of the unknown, not merely with treachery. Yet it was all orchestrated with cunning precision. Through the darkened shadows, a whisper of danger lingered, laced with the deadly promise of poison. And it seeped into the ears of my children, a haunting whisper that lingered in the shadows. I held my breath, silence enveloping me like a shroud. I left her waiting, the phone silent in my hand. I reached out to a lawyer instead. A unique agony lingers in the struggle to carve out moments with your own children. It whispers softly. It lacks the grandeur of the silver screen. It's a mountain of paperwork. And waiting, the seconds stretched into an eternity, and revealing to strangers the truth of your character, dismantling the villainous image that someone else has crafted around you. I presented the bank records, revealing the stark emptiness of the accounts. Fleeting glimpses of a digital world, messages left unread, calls that echoed into silence. Even the haunting footage of my brother Liam, his laughter echoing as he smashed the headlights of my truck. Yet the system drags on, sluggish and unyielding, like molasses in the cold. Every night I found myself in that cramped apartment, fixated on the 2 vacant chairs that faced my own. Revenge was not my desire. It's over now. All I craved was balance. Moments stretch and bend, a relentless force that shapes our existence. An opportunity to embrace fatherhood untainted by the shadows of another's resentment. On a haunting night, I found myself drawn back to the old house, stationed in the shadows across the street. The lights flickered to life. The haunting melody filled the air, wrapping around everything like a shroud of mystery. The sound of laughter echoed within, a vibrant life unfolding that I no longer belonged to. But there, framed in the window's glow, I saw Ava, perched on the stairs. A sense of anticipation hung in the air. Isolated, her silence hung heavy in the air, a stark contrast to the laughter that once filled the room. In that moment, a profound realization coursed through me, resonating deep within my very being. The battle was far from finished, not even close. The sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows as the clock ticked toward twilight on a Tuesday evening. It was one of those still, oppressive days when the sky hung low, a deep shade of bruised purple, and everything around seemed to hold its breath, suspended in time. The call with my lawyer had just ended, leaving me with a bitter taste of frustration. Yet another delay, yet another flimsy excuse. Fatigue weighed heavily upon me, yet not feeble. As I drove into the lot of my current job site, a half-renovated family home, the air shifted, and there he was. Liam stood at the edge of the world, the winds howling around him, carrying whispers of secrets yet to be uncovered. His heart raced, each beat echoing the thrill of the unknown that lay ahead. He loomed by the stack of lumber, exuding an air of ownership that commanded attention. With sunglasses perched firmly on my nose, I faced the tempest head-on, undeterred by the swirling chaos around me. His arms were crossed, striking a pose as if he were the star of a magazine ad that no one had ever requested. "What brings you to this place?" I asked, brushing the sawdust from my palms, forcing myself to remain composed. His lips curled into a sly smirk. That familiar crooked grin danced across his lips, a telltale sign that he believed he held the upper hand once more. "Elena's not done with you yet," he warned, his voice low and charged with tension. "Did you really believe this was over?" I approached him, each step deliberate and measured. "I have no desire for games, Liam. You've already shattered my truck into pieces. Are you ready to ignite chaos and add arson to your repertoire?" He stood resolute, unyielding in the face of the storm. He took a step forward, closing the distance between them. "You humiliated her," he spat, his voice low and dangerous. "She poured her heart into you, and you cast it aside like it meant nothing." A single laugh escaped my lips, cutting, laced with bitterness. "She fed me nothing but deceit, Liam." She whispered her secrets to me, all the while plunging a knife deep into my back. Now she's determined to wipe me from my children's existence. He seized my shirt, his grip tightening with an intensity that sent a shiver down my spine. Yet I remained frozen in place. "Release your grip," I urged. "What if I choose not to?" He dared to confront. Just then, my coworker Paul emerged from the shadows of the side door, his eyes wide with a mix of fear and uncertainty, gripping a hammer as if caught between the instinct to strike and the urge to seek help. Liam caught sight of him and paused, uncertainty gripping his heart. I seized that fleeting moment, seized his wrist with a fierce grip, and contorted. He let out a sharp cry. He stumbled backward. He stumbled into a chaotic heap of wooden planks, the impact jarring his body as he crashed down with a thud. "You're not a threat, Liam," I declared, looming over him with an intensity that filled the air. "You're nothing but noise and foolish." From the ground he let out a low growl, his fingers digging into his elbow. "This is far from finished." "No," I declared, my voice steady yet laced with an undercurrent of defiance. "Yet you are." And I turned my back, stepping into the unknown. She didn't dare to look back. There was no need to, because a change had taken hold, within me, amidst the chaos of battle. No longer was I on the defensive. No longer would I be the man who simply absorbed the blows. From this moment forward, I strike back. Yet I would approach it with cunning and strategy. As the web of deceit thickens, when betrayal transforms into a powerful currency, as time unfolds, the truth emerges as the most perilous weapon of all. I stepped into that courtroom, not as a shattered soul, yet in the role of a father. Bank records revealed the shocking truth. She had siphoned off our children's college fund. Captured on video, Liam unleashed chaos upon my truck, leaving destruction in his wake. Amidst the whispers of teachers, the watchful eyes of neighbors, and the murmurs of co-workers, a tale unfolds. As Elena stepped onto the stand, adorned in her signature style, the atmosphere crackled with tension. She faltered, her foot catching on an unseen obstacle, sending her heart racing as the ground rushed up to meet her. She contradicted herself. She lost her grip. The judge leaned forward, their expression a mask of inscrutability. Yet in the moments when he held the reins of power, his words struck like a gavel against the temple, echoing with a weight that demanded attention. Elena Miller is now subject to supervised visitation. The court has awarded full legal custody to Mr. Jack Rowe. Her world crumbled into an abyss of silence. Silence reigned, a stillness that hinted at the storm brewing beneath the surface. Silence echoed in the air. That chilling, empty gaze she had directed at me long ago. Now the focus has shifted inward. And what about me? A shadow crossed my face, leaving no room for a smile. No celebration took place. This was far from a victory. It was a fight for survival. At last, my children, my everything, were on the brink of finding their long-awaited peace.